So are you all local to the neighborhood, or did you come from far away? Yeah, pretty local. Somerville? Okay. The other side of Somerville.
Cambridge and Fresh Pond.
Okay. Yep. Cambridge. Yep.
Yeah, down the street.
Nice. Welcome.
First time, I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's great. You don't need to know anything. It's going to be completely self-explanatory. It might push you into a type of meditation you're not used to, but if you've never done it before, then it won't be a shock. Yeah, so tonight we'll go through a few different kind of contemplative meditations, and I will, we call it koan practice, which in Zen is kind of questions that are meant to push the boundaries of what knowledge can do for you and push you into a direct experience with your meditation. So, but I'll go through all of that. I just want to give everybody a minute to show up. As soon as I get started, usually someone walks in the door, so so usually I have at least one or two people here assisting me, but tonight my assistant and other teacher is running late, so if I have to break up the meditation to let somebody in, I apologize in advance. But usually it only happens within the first 5 minutes or so.
Have you guys been here before? First time? Yeah. Cool place.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here. This is being streamed to YouTube at the same time, so just in case I do take questions and answers at the end, your voice might be heard on the YouTube stream. Usually it's indistinguishable. Just want to check the sound real quick. Think it's working? Great. Good evening, everyone. I'm Zen Master Sebastian Rizzon, founder of the Mind Light Way School of Zen, and I host these Dharma talks on the first Thursday of every month, and I also host this is a guided meditation I host on the first Thursday of every month, and then Dharma talks and guided meditation on the third Thursday of every month from 7 to 8 p.m. You can also find more of these and guided meditations and Dharma talks and curated teachings on the Mind Light Way School of Zen YouTube channel. So tonight we'll be practicing koan meditation. In Zen, koans are questions, stories, or statements used for deep contemplation. A koan's not a question you answer with the intellect. It's something you hold in the mind until thinking exhausts itself. The purpose is not to explain experience. The purpose is to return directly to experience as it is. So tonight I'll guide you through a series of koans. As each question is given, don't try to answer it with words. Don't reach for a conceptual answer. Don't look for a philosophy to explain it. Let the question point you back to your actual experience. Just hold the question in your mind. If thoughts arise, let them pass. Then return to the koan. Keep returning to what's here, in your experience as it is. But first, let's prepare ourselves for meditation. So you could sit with your legs crossed. If you prefer to sit on your knees like that, that's fine. You want to keep sitting upright, keeping your back straight but not tense. Let your shoulders relax. Let your hands rest comfortably in your lap, and you can put them in the mudra position, which is right hand, left hand, touching your thumbs, kind of making a circle like this and centered in your lap. If you get uncomfortable in this position, you feel free to adjust it and adapt it so that you're comfortable. There's no need to be in a lot of pain. If you get uncomfortable, feel free to stand up and stretch out. Just try to be mindful of the people meditating around you. You can close your eyes now or keep them slightly open with your gaze towards the floor. I'm going to guide us through a breathing technique that can help prepare the body for meditation. Start by breathing a little bit slower and a little bit deeper than you usually do. Bring your attention to the center of your chest. Visualize your heart in the center of your chest as you breathe. As you listen to my voice, keep slowing down and breathing a little bit deeper. Feel your breath coming in through your nose and mouth. As you breathe in, visualize that your breath is collecting all of the energy from your brain and moving that energy from your head into your heart. Now imagine that you're breathing with your heart. The purpose of this practice is to align the mind, heart, and body. You can also place your hand on your heart if you like. Keep your breathing slow, deep, and steady. This is a technique that you can use to relax or reset yourself anytime. You can also use it to whenever you need to switch gears between different activities you're doing throughout the day. When you practice this breathing technique, Your body learns that slow, deep breathing is a signal to relax and reset. You can learn to use this to calm yourself down in any moment by coming back to slow, deep breathing. Now let's practice this together for a few minutes. Slow breath in and out. Draw the breath from the nose and mouth into the heart. Visualize yourself breathing from the heart. Let your mind settle and the body relax. In this next meditation, we'll use sound as our mantra. A mantra is the focal point of meditation. It's usually a word or a phrase that's repeated silently within the mind. But for this meditation, the sound itself will become the mantra. We'll focus our attention on the resonance of the singing bowl. Let the sound fill your awareness completely. Allow the waves of vibration to pass through you and wash away your thoughts. If a thought arises, let it pass. Then return your attention to the sound. Just listen. Focus completely on the sound. Let the sound dissolve the boundary between you and what you're hearing. For the remainder of tonight's guided meditation, I'll guide you through a series of koans. Treat each koan as a mantra. Let the question become a focal point of meditation. We're using these koans to help free the mind from the usual stream of thoughts, perceptions, and feelings that consume it. As I present each question, don't fixate on finding an intellectual answer. Don't search for a narrative you've learned. Don't try to describe the answer in words. Just contemplate the underlying meaning of the question. Let it point you back to the experience itself. Keep your mind still by focusing on the koan. If a thought occurs, let it go, then return to the koan. Hold the question in your mind until it burns away your thoughts. Let the question liberate your mind from the conditions that keep it constrained. Allow the mind to become free from thought. Allow yourself to have direct access to what is present in your experience. Now, close your eyes if they're not already closed. Let your breath remain slow and steady. And we'll take a few minutes to meditate on each koan. Here's the first koan. What is this world made of as you experience it right now? Before you think of anything, without any conceptual distinctions, without descriptions or stories that you've been told, before any notion of what it is, before your senses tell you what it seems to be. What is this world made of as you experience it right now? Where is your experience happening? Don't try to answer this with any ideas. Just look directly. Where is your experience happening? Is there anything outside of this experience? Where is the line between the world and your experience of the world? Can you find that line? in your direct experience right now, can you find where the world ends and your experience begins? Your awareness is constantly filled with sights, sounds, scents, sensations, thoughts, memories, feelings. If all of them vanished, along with the thoughts and memories, what remains? Don't try to describe the answer. Look directly into your experience. What remains when it is completely empty? Notice every sensation, every thought, every feeling, everything that appears. All of it appears in awareness. In your direct experience, have you ever known anything outside of awareness? Can you find any experience that does not appear within the field of awareness? Notice where thoughts appear. Notice where sensations appear. Notice where emotions appear. Notice where the body appears. Notice where the world appears. But what about awareness itself? Where does it appear? Where does it begin? Where does it end? Is it possible to separate awareness from what it knows or from what it's aware of? Examine this question deeply. Notice these boundaries between self and world, subject and object, internal and external, mind and experience. Notice how these boundaries appear. They appear as thoughts. They appear as distinctions in the mind. When the thought of separation fades, what remains? Are these divisions real? Or are they ways that the mind organizes what is appearing? Don't answer quickly. Just look. When the thoughts of separation fade, what remains? Now, let even the koan fall away. Let the question dissolve. Let the search dissolve. Don't look for anything. Just remain with what is here. Abide in the stillness of the mind. As sounds, thoughts, or sensations return, don't cling to them and don't reject them. Let everything appear and disappear in its own rhythm. Notice that awareness doesn't change as things come and go. Stillness and movement are always together, and they're inseparable from awareness. When there's no more seeking answers and explanations, and there's nothing to seek, what remains. Before I continue, take a moment to remain with your experience. Try not to add anything to your experience. Try not to separate anything from your experience. Just notice what is here before you name it. Let everything be exactly as it is. Everything we practice tonight, the breathing, the sound, the koans, the meditation, and even the silences between the words. They were ways of returning to direct experience. A direct experience where thoughts are not separating us from what's happening. This direct experience is the heart of Zen. The methods are just means. They're like medicine prescribed for an illness. Once the mind becomes clear, there's no need to cling to the medicine. There's no need to cling to any particular method. You simply meet this moment as it is. The koans, the meditation, and the teachings don't give you enlightenment. They show you the limits of knowledge. They show you the limits of concepts. They show you the limits of trying to understand reality through thought. They point you to your own direct insight. I spent 16 years living with my teacher in his temple, listening to his teachings, and practicing sitting and moving meditation. Sitting meditation is what we practice tonight, but moving meditation is equally important. And in daily life, it may be even more important. Moving meditation means treating everything you do as meditation. It means fully engaging with whatever you're doing. It means giving your full attention to this moment without letting the mind wander in a way that divides you from your experience. My main form of moving meditation practice has been martial arts, but really it could be anything. It could be making art. It could be writing. It could be going for a walk. It could be washing the dishes. It could be having a conversation. It's helpful to practice moving meditation through some activity you enjoy, something that naturally demands your attention. Over time, sitting and moving meditation allow you to deepen your engagement with your experience in every moment. They allow you to penetrate through the delusions of thought. You always have thoughts. You always have feelings. You always have emotions. The difference is this. When you're fully engaged with what's happening, you won't need to suffer from the delusive nature of those thoughts and feelings. You can see them clearly. You can let them arise. You can let them pass. And you can respond appropriately to what is actually happening. By seeing things as they are, you can engage seamlessly with whatever condition arises. This leads to direct insight about what is happening. It leads to the wisdom of how to respond. And it leads to equanimity in the mind, no matter what happens. Not because life becomes easy, not because pain disappears, but because the mind no longer has to fight what is. There's peace with what is. There's clarity. And there's a joy that no longer depends on particular conditions. Now, before we move into questions, let's take one more moment of silence. Take a slow, deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Just notice what is here. Now I'll take questions if anyone has them. Feel free, if you're watching online, to chime in the live chat. Hello, Groveland, Mass, in the live chat. Any questions from anyone here? So usually the live chat's a few minutes behind. But if you have any questions about tonight's practice, anything about your experience, if you want to share your experience. Anything about the mind, anything about Zen. Please feel free to ask questions. This is actually my favorite part of the class. So if something's on your mind, somebody else is probably thinking something similar. So.
Neck pain. But there was moments where it just completely went away.
Yeah. So pain, I think neck pain in particular. Yeah, it can be a challenge, especially if you're not used to sitting like this. This is actually a pretty long meditation. If you're gonna do something like this on your own, I usually suggest starting with smaller bits and just getting really good at finding a comfortable position and sitting like that. So that would be one way to help alleviate that. But I still get pain sometimes. You know, some days it's just uncomfortable. And I think if something is really painful, you don't need to sit like that. You can adjust your position. If you're practicing at home and you want to sit in a chair or even lie down, the way I suggest is don't be attached to the form of how you're sitting. It's more about finding the state of being here now, having a direct experience, trying to get past all the thoughts and the things that I was kind of pointing to about where is all of this occurring? Where is the mind? Where is the awareness? Does it actually ever go away? Even if you have like anesthesia or from an operation, like you still have a memory of a gap of something, right? So you're aware of a gap, even if you don't have. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing to think about, like where even the idea that this pain is mine in my body, it's still occurring somewhere. It feels like it's in your foot or your neck, but where is it actually?
I feel like the bowls helped. The nose helped.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to like ease people into meditation before I ask that they start to peel away a lot of layers. But I feel like it's a great way to ease into it. Yeah.
So one of the koans was about noticing how the experience happens in awareness. How about, I'm curious about your take on dreams and the level of awareness. Is it the same awareness in dreams? Is it different awareness? Like there's something so interesting in dreams, and does the experience happen in awareness, but a different awareness, or in the same awareness? We just like kind of say, okay, this is a dream and this is reality.
Yeah, the question, I'm going to just repeat it so people can hear online, but the question's about awareness and awareness in dreams, and is it a different awareness? More or less, that's the question. Was there something I missed there? That was
Just your take on it.
yeah. Well, what is the difference to you? What is the difference in the quality of awareness?
It does feel that the context is different, right? So the time is different, the experience is processed differently, and it's in that context I'm saying is like, is it a different awareness?
Is it a different awareness?
Because in reality, in this life, the context is very consistent. You, like, every day, you wake up, it's like your same bedroom. You don't wake up in like a different country. But when you dream, there seems to be no context and no boundaries. It's still awareness. You're still aware of your, at least in a dream, when you remember them, you're like, okay, I had a dream and this is what happened in my dream.
Yeah, I mean, I would, as far as like all the different types of things and yeah, qualities that arise in your awareness, like I still would ask, I guess, but I'm asking a leading question: is the actual awareness different, or is it, is it really? I mean, there's, even when you're awake, there's you can have imagining things. You can imagine that you're flying. You can, if you really, it's harder to do as an adult, but as a kid, like kids imagine things and they really believe it, but it's not something that is, that you can talk to somebody else and say, oh, my imaginary friend, and they're going to see the person. But the awareness is still the same. It may be filled with things that other people aren't aware of, and I'd say your dreams are similar quality like that, but they're not. But the awareness itself, I would say, is not different. And what do you know about your dreams, really? You know what you remember, right? Do you remember exactly that awareness, or is it like the experience in that moment, or is it just kind of a rewriting of that awareness after you wake up? So I think to a certain extent, everything we perceive is a rewriting of that. Just in some contexts, there's consistency. In others, there's not. But even in there was like a meme that went around where it was like is it a blue dress or a gray dress or something like that? So even in that, like, people can have different perceptions of reality, and there can be convinced it's one way and someone sees it another way. But I would ask, like, what I think there are differences in your experience, and I think those are all. I think that's to be expected. That everyone has different experiences, but they all have, even to have different experiences, you have to have awareness. And even when you're experiencing different things, what is actually changing in the thing that is aware, or the awareness? Is that actually changing, or is it just the contents of the awareness? Any follow-ups to that?
I'm just thinking, like, speaking of context and different context and consistency, how it has to do with maybe memory, and like in the waking world we seem to like take memory from consistent place, and in dreams maybe like that, where we full memory of something is different. Yeah, so I guess I follow your reasoning about what being the same awareness just like process it from a different angle after the fact. But there's still something maybe about lucid dreamings when you're aware you're dreaming in your dream. You still wake up and then you're like, oh, I was aware in my dream, so maybe like that's also context related.
But is your awareness in a lucid dream, is your awareness different than your awareness now?
No, but that's what I'm saying, like it's not different, but how come that experience is so different?
That was how come that experience is so different? It kind of ties in also to this. I'm going to just give a shout out to the person in the chat here because I think it's a similar context. The Ohosha, I think that's how you say it. How do you know that what you feel, see, smell, if real, and not your imagination or hallucination? I'm not sure what that means. Do you know what that word means? Maybe it's hallucination, but I think they spelt it wrong. Or else it's a word I've never heard, which is possible too. Or maybe I'm hallucinating. How do you know that what you feel, see, and smell, if it's real and not your imagination or hallucination? This ties really closely into what you're saying in the dreams. Like, well, how do you know? How do you know? I think that's a great question. Like, conceivably, you could be dreaming now. You could be dreaming that everything's consistent. And really, in reality, it's not. I think there's actually... I think there's, definitely, I think the verdict's still out on how consistent things actually are. I'm not saying that I'm not saying you should doubt science and technology and those types of things. They obviously work, but I think it is perhaps good to just question how we know all of these things. Because really, you only ever have your own perspective on these things. So is the consistency out there, or is it in here? Or is there really a separation? I was kind of explaining that meme where it's creating some sort of hallucination between people, like different people are seeing different things. I think all of those things exist on a spectrum of, if, even some people have color blindness, things like this. They lack certain senses. If you smell something and they don't, are you hallucinating? These are good questions. I don't really have I'm not sure I know exactly how to answer it. I'll put it that way. So, and then this is another question. From Daniel Beers. What's there in a dreamless sleep? When there's no dream and no waking state, no experience? It's a good question. Is there no experience? I would question that very much, because you have an experience of nothing, experience of something missing. So there was awareness something, of a lack of something. So even then, but really what is that other than you could have been having vivid dreams and you just didn't remember them? So the things we think of as consistency are memory. And are memories consistent? I think that is like really more the question you're asking, perhaps, versus is reality consistent? Because reality is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. And the only thing that we perceive as stable are these memories of things that were. But what is here and now is always changing. So what is actually more real? A memory of consistency, or the reality of constant change? I'm not saying you should disregard your memories. I'm just saying these are very interesting questions. I think they underpin our entire perception of reality, though. And even if I stood up here and gave you a great answer that you believed, would that, which I don't think I did, but what good would that do you? It would just be another story. I think that the real important question is, can you answer these things yourself? Can you find out? Or, a lot of people, philosophers, physicists, they're all trying to answer and grapple with these types of questions. I'll tell you right now, they don't have the answers. They have maybe some good approximations that seem to show some consistency. Maybe they have coherent arguments, but they don't have the answer. And I honestly, I think it's not the type of thing I can stand up here, or anybody can, and tell you exactly what it is. I think it really requires the kind of exercise we went through tonight, where you really hold those questions and examine them, and try not to cling to an explanation or a narrative or even a concept or an idea, and just really experience what it is. I think that is the way to truly access your own wisdom and truly get to that's the closest you'll get to the truth. I'll put it that way. Deep questions tonight. Love these. Any other follow-ups to that? Yes.
Is there a truth to pursue?
Is there a truth to pursue? I would say not, probably in the sense that you're asking. But I think there are things to be known, and I think it's important to know them and to find out. I think if there is such a thing as this truth that you're pointing to, I would say it could be pointed to but it couldn't be explained. And I think at best it could be experienced. Yeah, and I think I think I'll leave it at that. I think you could say, like there's some things that that you find in like the Buddhist texts and teachings, that things are empty, that they're impermanent. Those are, again, I think, just pointers. I think I'm not an expert in other religions, but I think that's sometimes what they mean when they say God. But they also can never explain exactly what that is. So in some way, I think, in my understanding, my experience, it's all the same thing. Great question. That was a tough one. Well, I will be back here in 2 weeks for a Dharma talk and a meditation. So that's when I kind of go into teachings. Like, these are the kind of questions which inspire my talks, quite honestly. Often after I leave here, I'm like, oh, I wish I had said that, but in response. So sometimes they will make their way into my next Dharma talk. But also, if you, actually, I think it's funny because I was thinking about this for my next Dharma talk, was that it would be about Dharma. And Dharma actually is the Sanskrit word for natural truth or truth in nature. And so I think you might enjoy that talk if you want to come check it out, because I think I probably have a lot more to say about it. It's also there's in that sense, I think, I'll leave it at that. But I think I gave you a good answer in that it's something you can point to. It's impermanent, and in some ways it's like inherently empty. Like, it's impossible to pin down. The more layers you peel off of the truth, you start to just you reveal emptiness underneath it. Even take like physics, and see what they tell you about the world and the physical world, and molecules and particles, and then like waves and fields and these things. Like, they get down to a level where they're like, yeah, we're not sure. So I think there will always be another layer where you always are saying, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to describe this. But we've got it pretty well surrounded, but we can't describe it. And that's somewhat what I think Dharma is. So before we go, I have a few announcements. As I said, in a couple weeks, we have the Dharma talk, same time here. If you would like to continue your practice and stay connected to our community, you're always welcome to join our community via our membership. We have an inner circle membership. We do little gatherings, practicing together a little more. We have like roundtable discussions online, so you can come. It's just a small, intimate group. And it's done with a lot of the people who are on the path to training Zen and becoming teachers. So we have a program for that as well. But it's a great way to stay engaged with the community between these types of events if you want a little more regular access. You can learn more about that at mindlightway.org. Our schedule is there of all of our Dharma talks, guided meditations, creative art and writing groups. We have full moon ceremonies, which Nadia hosts, and Bollywood dance classes if you want to do a little movement. So you can also find all these events on our meetup page. And we, most of these are free. The writing groups, the art groups, the meditations are free. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so if you'd like to help us out and make a donation, if you found value in this talk or the meditation, there's information on the back table on the way out on how to leave a donation, or in the description on the YouTube channel. And your generosity and your company and presence is greatly appreciated tonight. Thank you all for being here and for joining our community tonight. If you'd like to hang out and chat after a little more casually, you're welcome to hang out. No need to rush out. I'll be here cleaning up a little bit. So thanks again for joining us all tonight. Thank you everyone who joined us online and your questions in the chat. And also, forgot to mention, we do have a new Substack. So if you want to read some articles I've been writing, we'll also be having some contributions from people in the community. So if you want to check that out, Mind Light Way at Substack. I don't know exactly what the address is, but probably easy enough to find if you put Mind Light Way. Thanks again for joining us. Have a good night.